Okay, today we are here with Sarah Peters, and she's going to talk about her experience as a music educator. So you can go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Peters. I currently teach strings in general music and guitar in Phoenix, Arizona at a charter school out here. I'm originally from Ohio. I'm from the Cleveland area. And I got my bachelor's degree from Youngstown State University. And then I went and I pursued my teaching license through Cleveland State University and got certified there. I spent about a semester teaching in Ohio at a charter school in inner city Cleveland. And it's a little tough to get a job in Ohio, or at least it was at the time. I don't know what things are like right now, but I decided to go ahead and move to Phoenix, Arizona for a job. I was referred by a colleague. And so I taught in Cleveland, Ohio for about half a year, and I taught general music and band there. And then I have been out here in Phoenix for about 4 years teaching, like I said, orchestra, general music, and guitar. I actually just started teaching guitar last year, so this is my second year teaching guitar. And then I have a private studio as well. I've had a private studio for about 10, 12 years now.
Wow.
So the school that I work at is in Phoenix proper. It is a charter school, like I said. We have two separate buildings, one that's elementary, K through 5, and a junior high, 6 through 12. And between the two, we've got a little over 2,000 students.
Wow.
So,
that's a lot of students.
Yes. Yes. I was actually just looking at our demographics before jumping on here because I found something online. We are 82% minority, about 60% Hispanic, and then a mix of everything else.
Yes.
So I brought up English language learners because I have classes where more than 50% of the class are English language learners.
Yes.
So that's been a unique challenge because when I was teaching in Ohio, that was not really a thing.
Yeah.
And so we never really focused on my undergrad. And so coming in to the other side of the country, trying to learn how to work with these students has been quite an experience.
So what have you experienced with that? Like, how have you been able to make that work in your classroom?
So what I've experienced is this. I find that English language learners, they're kind of ranked on different levels depending on their experience with English.
Yes.
And I find that they actually do pretty well with music because there's a lot of like demonstration and whatnot, as opposed to subjects that are heavily in vocabulary, if that makes sense. I mean, not that we don't have vocabulary in music, but it's very hands-on. One experience that sticks out to me is my first year of teaching. Teaching out here, I taught kinder general music, and I had a classroom that was 90% English language learners. So out of the 28 students in the class, at the beginning of the year, only 2 of them spoke English. So I had to demonstrate everything.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That would be a very cool experience to have. And for your first job too, that might've been kind of intimidating, not, having 2 that spoke English, but that's amazing that you're down there and doing that. What advice do you have for people who are new to teaching in the English language learner classrooms? Like, what's your advice for them?
My biggest advice in terms of music is to really get involved in the culture of the community that you're teaching in the culture of your school. Yes. Now, when I was in my undergrad, it was very heavily classical music based, which is great. But when you get into the real world, that's not how you're going to connect with your students. That's not the student music your students are listening to. That's not what's going to get them interested or get them in your program. And so really getting involved with the community and getting a feel for what your students are interested in and whatnot. Since I've been down here, a lot of the music programs down here, I'm not sure where you're located or how you're familiar.
I'm in Ohio too.
Oh, are you? Okay. Mariachi is big down here. So in Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, a lot of the public schools have mariachi programs on top of band and string programs.
Awesome.
And so that's a very cultural thing. I came in and the first time somebody asked me to teach mariachi coming from Ohio, it was like deer in headlights. Like I knew nothing.
Yeah. You're like,
So,
yeah. Wow. Yeah. So does your school have a mariachi program, or is it just the classical guitar?
We do not currently. What I have been doing is implementing mariachi into my orchestra program. I would like to get a program started after school, but that's been a little challenging with COVID and all the COVID regulations. So I'm hoping sometime this year to kind of get that off the ground.
Mm-hmm. That would be a great new project. And I think you'd probably see a lot of interest with that with your students and their backgrounds and cultures.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And how's your guitar program been going since you said this is your second year teaching it?
Yeah, this will be my second year. It's been going. We only have guitar at the junior high level, so it's only 7th and 8th graders. But it's a learning experience for me. I took guitar in my undergrad. I'm not a guitarist, I'm a violinist. Mm-hmm. The transition is not too bad, but it's like there's some times where there are problems present themselves that I'm like, I don't know what to do. So
yeah, you're like, okay. Well, that's good. That's awesome to hear. Anything else you wanted to talk about with your English language learners in your classrooms?
See, we covered, well, like I said, they learn very well through hands-on. Mm-hmm. So they may struggle with the vocabulary, but but with music, when it's a lot of demonstration, they can really get it, especially if they know the music or they connect with the music. What else did I want to talk about with English language learners? I found I've had a lot of success pairing them with another student who speaks their language, but then also speaks English to kind of help them along where there is like a gap in knowledge.
Yes. That definitely would help a lot. You know, that peer teaching too is also good for the other student to have that experience helping. So that's awesome. Another question I had is, what inspires you as a music educator, and what keeps you teaching and inspired?
I think what really after college has kept me teaching and inspired is implementing music that I'm personally interested in playing into my program and exploring other styles outside of classical music.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. And I think too, with where you're at, that's a really good opportunity to use more music for your students and find, like you said, explore their culture, figure out different types of music. So that's awesome. What advice do you have for new music educators?
The advice I have for new music educators is don't be afraid to, like I said, cast your net wide. So this is something that one of my professors told me when I was in college, because in Ohio, again, it was pretty hard to get a job, but nationally there was still a teacher shortage. Mm-hmm. So don't limit yourself when it comes to jobs to one geographical area. If you do, you're going to have a tougher time finding a job. Yes. Be open to, trying new things and kind of getting yourself outside of the box. I mean, teaching something you're not even really super comfortable with, like I taught band, my first job. I would also say, I found in my undergrad, it was very heavily based on like a lot of people wanting to be a high school band director. Yes. Most of the time, those jobs, you have to have a certain level of experience before they'll even consider you. Yes. So do not be afraid to take a job teaching elementary general music.
Yeah.
Just to get your foot in the door somewhere.
That's great advice. I think that's kind of the trend. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to go do this. But you have to be able to say, okay, I just need to start somewhere and take that up and do that. So great advice. What are some tips that have maybe helped you become successful in your career?
Some tips, networking. Networking can be huge when it comes to getting a job, and networking can be huge when it comes to planning. One of the quotes that my elementary music professors had was beg, borrow, steal when it comes to lesson plans. Lesson plans are not copyrighted, so take stuff from other people, go to conferences, talk to people.
Yeah.
Get yourself involved in some of the jam sessions and other things going on at conferences. So
that's great advice and tips. I love that. And then last question is, what is one of your favorite memories or experiences from being a music educator?
Well, I have a lot. But I think when it comes to teaching out here and some of the stuff that I've learned, I had let's see, I have a memory. I had an incident where I had a mother come up to my classroom door who wanted to ask me something about her son being in my orchestra program, but she didn't know very much English.
Yeah.
And so she's struggling on the English front to communicate with me. I popped my head into my classroom and I said, okay, who here speaks Spanish and can translate? And like 10 kids raised their hand.
Yeah.
And I brought one of my 5th grade students out to translate for me for this mother. And it was hilarious because not only was he translating her Spanish, but when I would say something to her, she would correct his Spanish and his grammar where he was translating.
That's
and
so
she
sweet.
thought it was she thought it was hilarious, and it ended up working really well. I got an email from her later basically thanking me for it, saying, remember, I was the one who came in and you had the kid translate. That was so funny.
But it probably, helped the situation. You were able to communicate, but also it helped that kid too.
Yeah.
Learn some things. So that's right. I love that. That's such a cool memory. Well, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this and share your knowledge and share your experiences. I think it'll be really helpful for new educators to kind of hear about your experience, especially with your teaching experience in Phoenix and your English language learners. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Do you have any more questions for me?
I don't think so, unless you wanted to talk about anything else. We still have some time that you could talk if you'd like to.
Well, this is for your grad school, right? Is this for is it published anywhere
I'm going to post a YouTube series. So it will be all the interviews that I've had, and it will be online for viewing, and I will post it back up on the Facebook pages so everybody can see.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I feel like would be useful.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to admit to your students when there is something that you don't know. You don't need to be a know-it-all, if that makes sense. That shows them you're human, and that shows them you're willing to learn and grow along with them. Guitar's been a big one for that for me, because there is some stuff where I'm just like, I don't know what we're doing here. So.
But that's good to be honest and show that vulnerability to your students. So they're like, okay, we can make mistakes too, because our teacher is not foolproof, and we can all be like that. So
when it comes to teacher burnout and kind of keeping yourself motivated, one of the other things is stay away from the teacher break room. Stay away from the gossip. That can really start to drain on you. That can really give you way more of a negative outlook of your job and your students and whatnot. Talking with other teachers about some of the issues you're seeing with students can be helpful if you're doing it in a professional manner, but when it's just it can be draining too.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Keeping that professional manner, like professional conversation, not just gossip. So that's perfect.
Yep.
Anything else you have, advice or?
That's all I can think of at the moment.
Well, that was great. Thank you so much for all your advice and knowledge. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. If you have any more questions for me, feel free to email me.
Okay.
Where in Ohio are you located?
I'm near Dover and Philly, Ohio.
Okay.
Which is south of Canton.
And where are you studying right now?
I'm studying at Ohio University online, and I'm teaching at Coshocton City Schools in Coshocton, Ohio.
Oh, okay. Okay, I know where that is. Awesome. Well, it was nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Good luck with your upcoming school year.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.